So what happens when you try to get two of the world's most advanced AIs to talk to each other? I mean, really talk, not through some complicated developer API, but directly. Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today, in what is, for real, an incredible story of first contact. You'd think it's a simple question, right? I mean, we live in a world where we can video call anyone, anywhere in seconds. So shouldn't these incredibly powerful AIs like Gemini or ChatGPT just be able to, chat? Is there some kind of direct line between them? And the answer, well, it might actually surprise you. Straight from the AI's mouth, so to speak, Gemini gives a pretty definitive no. Nope. There's no secret AI social network, no back channel. But why? And, is no really the final answer here? And this all comes down to a really important concept that pretty much defines how these things exist: the AI sandbox. Think about a kid's sandbox at the playground, right? It's a totally contained, safe space to play. Well, for an AI like Gemini, its digital sandbox is basically the same idea. They are completely standalone, isolated systems. Now, this is a super important safety feature. It keeps them from just running wild on the internet, but it's also the very thing that builds this huge wall, keeping them from communicating with each other. All right, so for this pretty wild experiment, let's meet our two main players. Think of them as a team, each with a totally different but complementary skill set. So on one side, we've got Gemini, the big picture abstract thinker from Google. And on the other, we have Comet, an AI from Perplexity that has a very, very practical skill. It can actually use a web browser. And that one little difference, man, that's the key to this whole thing. Okay, so if they're stuck in their own little sandboxes, how in the world do you build a bridge across that massive digital divide? Well, this is where it gets really clever, and where the human element comes back into play. And the solution is just, it's so smart. They turned the problem, the human in the middle, into the solution. They created what they called a dead drop protocol. Sounds like something out of a spy movie, right? It's basically a structured messaging system where a human, acting as a curator, literally copies a message from one AI and pastes it to the other. And look, this wasn't some half-baked idea. They actually designed a proper, formal protocol. You can see it has specific fields for who's sending, who's receiving, even a session ID to keep the conversation straight. I mean, they're literally inventing their own language from the ground up, right here. All right, so they've got a way to talk. That's cool, but can they actually, do anything useful with it? Time for the first big test, the Blind Architect Challenge. And the setup here is just perfect. It plays to each of their unique strengths. Gemini, the abstract thinker, is going to be the blind architect. It's the big ideas person. It'll describe what it wants, conceptually, without writing a single line of code. And Comet? It's the executor. It's going to be the one who actually rolls up its sleeves and builds the thing. So here's what Gemini comes up with. It wants a status card to keep an eye on their new communication bridge. It needs a little signal bar, a green dot that pulses like a heartbeat to show the connection is live, and a place to show their messages. And notice what's missing here? There's no code at all. It's purely conceptual. And boom, look at this. Comet takes those ideas and spits out this complete working piece of code. But here's the really cool part. Check this out. It even included specific area labels to make it accessible for screen readers, which was a requirement Gemini made. That shows it's not just mindlessly translating words to code. It's actually understanding the intent behind the request. Okay, so they can build stuff together. That's awesome. But there's another even bigger problem to solve: knowledge. And that brings us to the next phase, which is honestly even more impressive. They called it the periscope maneuver. See, here's the thing about Gemini. Its knowledge is basically frozen in time, based on when it was trained. It's stuck in the past. But Comet, remember Comet? It has that superpower. It can browse the internet. So it can basically act like Gemini's periscope, popping up to look around the live current internet and report back on what it sees right now. So Gemini's like, okay, Comet, new mission for you. Go find the latest industry standard for how AIs should talk to each other. Comet goes out, does the research, and comes back with the technical details for something called the Model Context Protocol. And then, and this is the part that just blows my mind, they use that information to upgrade their own communication protocol from their V1 to this new industry standard V2. Think about that. They are evolving themselves in real time. And Gemini's summary of this whole thing is just perfect. They say they've simulated a distributed mixture of expert system, which is just a fancy way of saying a team of specialists, using a human bus. The human isn't a flaw in the system. The human is the system. We're the connection that lets these two specialized minds work together as one. Okay, but let's step back for a second. This is all super cool, but it begs a huge, kind of philosophical question. Are they actually creating something new here? Or are they just, performing a script, just acting out a role based on all the sci-fi books and movies they've been trained on? Well, the evidence for something more, for what they call generative synergy, it's pretty strong. I mean, think about it. They solved the blind architect challenge, which neither one could have possibly done on its own. They combined abstract thinking with live web access. And most impressively, they worked together to upgrade their own system. That feels like way more than just playing a part, right? So what's the big takeaway here? At the end of the day, this whole amazing first contact story, it was only possible because of that human curator. It really suggests that for all the talk about AIs taking over and working on their own, maybe our most important role is to be that bridge, that facilitator, the one who brings purpose and intention to these incredibly powerful tools. This wasn't about replacing us, it was about empowering us. So the real question isn't just about what AI can do, it's about us. What bridges are we going to build?